screen. Broadcast the rhythm. Go live, Vegas on the screen, feeling the flow, so pristine. Boom, as the beats align, electric dreams, they intertwine.
Who the fuck is Frank? Is he hiding in the tank? Could he be the guy next door? Or the legend we adore? He hides in plain sight, in the middle of the night. Who is that cool dude? He's always in a mood.
All right, welcome into Who the F is Frank here on GoLiveVegas. Of course, you can find us on the One of Us Comics YouTube channel, along with Spotify. Make sure you guys check us out on any of those streaming platforms each and every week. Welcome in. We've got a fun show planned for you today. Of course, we started off with what's been going on and who's around. And to my left, Mr. Johnny Jimenez, Vegas Toy Shack and the original toy expert on History's Pawn Stars, plus owns the One of Us Comics in downtown Las Vegas. Johnny, how are you?
Awesome.
To my right, Mr. Brett Lawson, student of the game, Game Day Huddle, and we are going to coin him the Rain Man of the program.
I'll take it.
Because he has the most knowledge of random stuff I've ever seen in my life.
He really does.
He
It's
does.
crazy.
We
So-
need to have a quiz show because I take offense to you giving that title.
You're not
him,
allowed to
sir.
talk yet. You haven't been introduced. Come on, buddy. Always taking.
I was going to
steps.
say the true master of Trivial Pursuit. I mean, Brendan Allen has a strong claim to lay there, but I appreciate that. I walked into a conversation regarding geopolitics. That's all I will say in terms of getting started for the Game Day Huddle earlier this morning. So I chimed in there with a specific date. But either way, I do appreciate that, Steve. And happy to be with you guys. Missed it last week, but happy to be back in the swing of things. Obviously, eventful sports weekend. NHL wrapped up. NBA wrapped up. So now we're kind of entering that period of dormancy. So shows like this and pop culture-related topics are great because I get to chomp at the bit knowing that the sports slate's a little thin.
Well, since we went and introduced him, we might as well take advantage of that. Mr. Paul Vato is with us. We're not sure where Paul is at today. The human promotion machine is in the building. And Paul, I noticed something. You gave time to not be Kim Jong-un this morning. So well done.
Speaking of
Well done there.
geopolitics. Yeah.
How are you, Paul? What's going on in your world?
After World War III, he's neutral. You know what I'm saying?
I'm wearing my. Hey, I'm just glad that Brett, you referred to him as the Rain Man as opposed to the replacement, because whenever he's on, I feel like I'm moments away from being replaced. So thank you for calling him the Rain Man, and I think I also know a little bit about a lot of things, but maybe not as in depth as Brett or Brendan over here. But thank you for having me as always. Today, as usual, I'm promoting Vato Coin. Just go to vatocoin.com and you can pick up. Even if it's $1, I need to get over 500 unique holders in order to get it verified. And of course, I also have my book, The Kama Sucia, kamasucia.com. But if you go to paulvato.com from there, you will find everything you need to know about me and follow me on social media and, invest in whatever I'm promoting, like Parse Rum, what else, Vato Cigars. I almost forgot about Vato Cigars. So thank you guys for having me. This is Paul Vato, the human promotion machine. Goodbye.
Good old Paul.
Good show.
It's great. Well, guys, we had a great weekend and everything. No, I'm just joking. And Mr. Brendan Allen joins us from Bakersfield, California. Brendan, how are you, bud?
Wait, what? What? Was there a question there?
Yeah, I said, how are you? But that's okay. We can avoid you. You've
okay.
already been talked about twice already, so we're totally cool.
No, I'm saying though, if we ever do the nighttime version of the show with the drinks or whatever, we should do a Trivial Pursuit round or two. That would be fun.
That would be a blast.
We should be. Well, coming up, we have a version of that. It's going to be kind of fun because we will be playing Trash or Treasure today. So that'll be a lot of fun, and getting in. So obviously, we all had, different things going on for the weekend. And I know there was a lot of stuff going on. And I really want to get into what Brendan had going on this weekend. So, Brendan, why don't you tell everybody what you got into this weekend? And then it's always a hot topic on the show. So why not start off with MicroMania visits Bakersfield?
So I was really excited for MicroMania the last time they came to town. I got the dates wrong. I didn't get to go. I went this time, and dude, I got to tell you, I've seen MicroMania at the Las Vegas residency, and now I've seen it on the road, and they are two completely different shows. I can't even tell you how unhinged this event was. So they had the matches going on, but in between the matches, they were selling opportunities for $20. You could have one of the performers smack you in the face with a pie tin, and then they all signed it, and you got to take that home. So there were like 20 people that did that. But they started auctioning at the very beginning at $100 to get hit over the head with a trash can by one of the performers, and you got to pick which performer did it. And they started at $100. It got up to like, 900, something like that. And then Billy Blade, who's the promoter and used to be a professional wrestler, he's wrestled Matt Hardy and stuff. He comes out and he goes, the highest this has ever gotten was $4,000 in Hawaii. $4,000. Now, this man sitting in the front and his wife start bidding against each other. So it was at $2,000, $2,500, $2,700, $3,000. They're bidding against each other. They came together. And then Billy comes out and says the highest has ever been is $4,000. The dude looks at his wife and goes, $5,000. She looks at him like, are you nuts? He goes, $6,000.
Oh my
And then Billy's like, $6,000 going once, going twice. And the dude's like, $7,000. He paid $7,000. Plus he had bought like all the tickets. This guy's a doctor. It came out. They were talking about whatever. He bought all the tickets ringside. So he had like 40 people there. He bought all those tickets. He paid $7,000 to get over the head with the trash can. And then at the end of the show, he tipped all the performers to an amount that I'm not even going to say, but it was ridiculous how much money this dude put out. And then there were people in the audience that were like participating in different ways than the live show and stuff like that at the residency. Just from start to finish, I would have paid $100 to watch this show easily. It was just so much entertainment value from bell to bell. It was ridiculous. I don't even know how everything happened. I don't know who was a plant, who was involved or whatever, but it was cool. Absolute just mayhem the entire time. Oh, and I saw Noel G there. There he is.
Hey, can we acknowledge that really quick? Because the chat, I've been recently added to the Who the F is Frank group chat.
Yeah.
And Johnny, your response to that.
I just said that a lot of people in Bakersfield look like Noel G. So it's
yeah, basically, and just for context, Brendan sent the picture and then asked Johnny, Noel is at MicroMania in 1933. Why didn't you come out? Paul Vato replies, that's not Noel. Brendan Allen then says, you sure? And then Johnny drops this gem. Everyone looks like Noel in Bakersfield. And then Brennan, right, this is East Side Noel. That was gold.
That dude, he was super chill too, because they say, who's a veteran, who's a firefighter, whatever, and I raised my hand for veteran. And this dude comes over like halfway through the show and he's like, hey, what can I get you? He bought me a drink. It was cool. He was a good sport.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you go to a show like that and you have that type of experience, and Johnny, of anybody on the podcast, you have more experience with MicroMania than anybody. You've been there since the jump when it came into Vegas, and all the iterations that they've done, and talked to them about their traveling. You're friends with them,
yeah, we've been a big part of the show since the beginning, and we've seen it evolve, and then and I've seen the show probably 20, 30 times, and it's always amazing, and they change up. Mm-hmm. Their acts every week, and they bring new people in, and it's constant rotation, so it's always a different show, and it's really entertaining. And everybody that comes into town, even just the thought of it, they're like, I have to go. Even my buddies came in from out of town. They came they spent their anniversary there, and you see all these special monumental events, and I'm sure that guy in Bakersfield, just to spend that amount of money for his crew and his team, and to do that and support that's all love. It really is. And
that's awesome. And when you get those events that get that type of response and people come out to those things and do that, I think that's great. So what an awesome weekend for you and everything. What did you get into, Brett? I know that we had NBA Finals.
Yeah, and we just finished up a jam-packed show of the Game Day Huddle, breaking all that down because we weren't on the air last week. So obviously you had the NBA Finals culminating. Oklahoma City gets it done in 7 games. It wound up being a great series between the Thunder and the Pacers, but ultimately the best team all year long gets it done, hoists the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And anytime you can have a sports, season culminate in such fashion, it's good. Like I said, it kind of opens up the period of dormancy that you have in front of you. But we also have midseason baseball. Brendan Allen, we were talking about that off air. He also joins in on the comments of our show regarding the
Johnny
baseball
and
talk.
I's team's been fighting. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we should be fighting right now.
And meanwhile, the Dodgers, the Padres are plunking each
I'm
other.
not going to lie. I almost wore my Padres jersey today. I really thought of
You
it.
should have texted me. I would have.
Someone-
Because also
Someone's-
Brendan is a
is
Giant fan. So.
and that's really the fun because someone's going to get pelted. And again, Brendan joining on the conversation regarding the Devers trade. So obviously, there's a lot of intrigue in baseball approaching
How
midseason.
cool is it now, though, that you can be a nerd and like sports?
That's literally what I was just telling Johnny as we were getting ready to come on air. That I think is the biggest thing regarding the weekend for me, not just this weekend, but every weekend, knowing that, I'm somewhat of a contributor to what you guys have going here. It's so cool coming in on a Monday, being able to talk shop in the sports world, take like a 30-minute break, grab a coffee, and then jump and talk everything in the world of fandom and pop culture and the nerd stuff. Because that's like when you, I don't like to be pigeonholed as just a sports guy, even though my background's in sports media. So you guys give me the opportunity to kind of join on this conversation as well. It's awesome. And it goes to show that you don't really necessarily need a topic heavy news cycle. Steve, you, Jimmy, and myself, we don't need it in the sports world, and we certainly don't need it on this show either, although today we have a pretty fun lineup. So, just excited. It was a fun weekend. You just have a lot of different things going on in terms of a lot of different avenues, and if you're intrigued by any of those, it's just fun. It's fun stuff.
And I think being a Hispanic from Southern California, you don't have a choice. Like
Right.
you're
Oh,
a
no.
Dodgers fan,
No.
100%. It's like part of our culture, part of our family. Like you'll get disowned if you're anything else.
But what's cool is that crossover to the pop culture and the sports and everything.
Always.
Johnny's store downtown really resides at, because when you walk into Toy Shack, you get that semblance that hey, this is all the cool stuff that nostalgic and I grew up with and everything. Oh, by the way, there's my trading cards. And speaking of, you got some killer Pokemon, huh?
Oh, yeah. We had a big score. Guy came in, brought his son's Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like from 1999, brought a whole bunch of first edition packs that came in the store. So we're loaded right now. Those ain't going to last long. You already know.
Not at all. And I'm telling you, if you're a Pokemon fan, you want a chance at that, make a call to the Toy Shack, because that's how you're going to be able to acquire them. You must call them and talk to them about it, and they can set it up for you to purchase one of those if you want to take advantage. But they had base set boosters. They had fossil boosters. Looks like some jungle boosters were in there. Yeah. So there's some really, really cool stuff.
And can I say one more thing? And I'm really saying this for Brendan because I know he's been following along. This is also a bit of a conundrum for me because I've been waiting a considerable amount of time to say I actually got to see John Cena and CM Punk go at it for the WWE Championship again at some point in my life. We get that opportunity, but it's happening in Saudi Arabia, so I have some conflictions there. Again, not trying to get geopolitical.
Although the question is it actually going to happen in Saudi Arabia?
Right.
Because I read a blogger this morning that's tied in.
There is conversation.
That
You're
said
right.
that they may be moving that event
Due to
purely based to
the proximity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
just for travel.
And 100%.
Because getting back in the country is going to be as hard as leaving to go to one of those.
I can imagine.
conflicts.
I'm surprised, honestly, that it's taken this long, that they've had so many headline shows in Saudi because of the political climate there and how many wars are happening all the time on all those borders.
No doubt.
I'm actually surprised it has taken this to make them reconsider that contract.
Well, being across the bay in the Persian Gulf, I think is the biggest conflict.
And that's my thing.
Issue.
I never thought I'd see CM Punk back in the WWE. I never thought I'd see him feuding with John Cena on John Cena's retirement tour. And I never thought it would coincide with, well, let's just say, an international conflict, to say the least.
And
so
I have to
not to
tell
minimalize
you,
it, but it's a can of worms.
On that Cena front, when he was sitting up on the turnbuckle talking to CM Punk,
the reverse pipe bomb,
and he turns and he brings up those wrestlers that are no longer in WWE because of CM Punk. That was such a low blow.
Ziggler, Cesaro, and
he
who
called
else?
out Matt Cardona.
Yeah, Matt
and
Cardona.
Matt's been the most outspoken about it.
No doubt.
So, the fact that he called out Cardona, I personally, because I like Matt Cardona, and I hope that this opened the door back up for him.
And he's done great
to be
work.
able to have an opportunity to come back in, even though he kind of caused ripples.
No doubt.
Right?
And couples are the thing.
Great
and
to
couples
see.
are the thing now in WWE. His wife is as big of a star as they have in terms of what
Yes.
the women's are doing right now in terms of fan popularity. We all want to see it, but aside from that, no. It's a point in professional wrestling where I have some inhibitions, but I also am intrigued because it's CM Punk, John Cena. So
Absolutely.
it's one of those things.
Well, this weekend, I know that you got Pokemon in, and Pokemon's one of the hottest collectibles in the market. But we mentioned it last week. but we really need to talk about this. I was on News 8 this week speaking to them about the Labubu craze. And what the Labubu craze is, it's actually the monster. So let me set this up so people understand what it is. So these toys are a designer toy. And what they are is they're a toy that is made essentially off of Japanese art. And whenever Japanese art comes into the toy world, that's always been popular. That's always a big thing. But these also crossed over to the world of fashion. And it doesn't happen often, but we see it happen in shoes. So we had JC Fernandez from News 8. He came in into the store, and we talked about Labubu. And here you can see him. He's got the Coke Labubu. And what they are is that Labubu is a character in the Monsters line, and she's like the first one being introduced through Pop Mart for this item. And this has become a massive craze. And so we were in store. We got a chance to sit there and talk about it. We talked about the craze, and we get to see it. But to actually see firsthand how crazy this has actually become is nuts, right? And by the way, shout out, this wasn't Aaron that did this. Production on News 8 got my name spelled incorrectly there. Usually it's Aaron, so I'm pretty sure Aaron called in and made sure that happened.
Aaron, why is the local CBS affiliate's lower third wrong?
That's exactly.
Do you have a part-time job there?
I'm texting Aaron going, this had to be you. So they're blind boxes, as you see here. JC actually opened one of the vinyl boxes, which was one of their first. So Coke and One Piece are the first licensees to Pop Mart for the Labubus. So this is the first blind vinyls that they're doing, which is really cool as far as licensed. And so here you see it gets Monkey D. Luffy, and my kid has made sure that I pronounced that correct because I got the pronunciation incorrect on this show. But this craze really reminds me, and I mentioned to Johnny that I thought it felt like Cabbage Patch Kids, but even more, seeing over the last week to 10 days how this is really amassed and scaled. You had USA Today did an article and a show segment on it. You have big news places have been doing segments on it. They're selling out everywhere. The hottest collectible. They're going to continue to be one of the hottest collectibles through Christmas this year. Get these items, get involved. You're going to see more coming along. But the lines that they have, that are the main lines that you're looking for, have a seat, which is the seated version of the plush version of the Labubus. Each one of them come with 6 pieces in a case. Each case assortment is built to have one of each color guaranteed in it. And then each set has a chase, or what they call the secret, that's involved in each one. And those are 1 in 72. So that's 1 in 12 cases. Johnny knows that's a pretty rare toy to be able to pull that rare one out of this. The second wave was the exciting Macrons, which are really, really hot right now. Again, 6-piece assortment. They come out. Vinyl collector. This one's standing. And they're all made with a bag tag or hook to be able to be presented on your belt loop or on your purse or whatever it is. The third one is big into energy, which is the biggest one right now, the most exciting one. It's got the highest price on the Chase vinyl in it. That one actually has rainbow teeth for the Chase.
Yeah, it's like $300 or plus.
It's actually going for $450 plus now.
So in between,
already,
between,
that much already? Wow.
I know you mentioned Cabbage Patch, but in between the variety and even the tags with the collectible aspect, almost resembles Beanie Babies in a way too.
Kind of, except Beanie Babies, one thing didn't do, which was what my next mention was going to be, is that they licensed Coke.
Right.
And so they have the Coke version. So you didn't have the licensing in Beanie Babies
brand
early.
specificity. Right.
But what you did have, and what you're talking about, is that they were initially, the Beanie Babies were exclusive to Hallmark stores. Yes. And then they branched off, right? The difference with this is that what I'm seeing with what happened with Cabbage Patch is it didn't matter what store brought them in. It was empty. And the best example I can give is when you had Cabbage Patch came out, you had Sears dedicated an entire section of their store. They built out nurseries and they stocked them, and they were all flaunting, we have all these, we're going to have it all in stock all the time. And they were the day they would drop, they were sold out and had empty nurseries sitting in stores for a month at a time.
As an industry expert, what would you attribute that to in terms of not just the popularity, but how quick?
There's a Labubu
how
song
quickly
on
it
YouTube.
surged. Like, what would you pinpoint that to, if in your opinion?
Well, for this, you talk about perfect storms of things, right? So you had Pop Mart is scaling as a company, right? And at the time, they find this Japanese artist that created the monsters, and they go to him and say, "Hey, we want to license those exclusively because we want to put out some of our own toys." This to build this probably takes them almost 2 years, start to finish, to be able to get to where we are today. So we know that at least minimum 2 years ago, if not further back. Right. And you talk Pop Mart, like the monsters were the creative behind it was 2015. Yeah. 2017 is when Pop Mart was starting to build their stores and locations. Then you move on, and Pop Mart quickly ascended. In fact, the Pop Mart story is that the Pop Mart founder, I think, spent like $30,000 opening his first store, doing designer vinyls.
Wow.
And then started making his own, and that's where he took off. He was making all of his own lines,
And
licensing all of his own stuff.
That was the foundation.
And now Pop Mart's actually become a distributor, not just a store.
Yeah.
They're actually distributing their own product.
Yeah, but it's really hard to get the product in from any source. I mean, and even I got shipment from LA, and it was the bootleg stuff. Some of that. I mean, some of it came through, and that's everywhere. That's
Yeah, and when you start seeing something like this bootleg, but here's where the perfect storm falls. You have Japanese art, which is popular. Designer Japanese toys and vinyls are always hot. Plushes were the big thing last year. If you think about what the big holiday toy last year was, it was Squishmallow.
Yeah.
Right? So now
The stars are aligning.
Right. So now you have that. And then it comes into the world of fashion. And that's where the difference is that once it comes into the world of fashion, now it opened up to everybody. So you had, I think her name is Rose from Blackpink, which is one of the K-pop bands. She was the first one to be seen with one on a red carpet. So that created a frenzy. And then the BET Awards, you had two of the women, including Rihanna, who took the red carpet on with Labubu. Yeah. So between those two, you really saw this like surge in the market. And then what Pop Mart did, which is really smart, they're keeping the domestic distribution in-house. So the only place that you can source and purchase this direct from the retailer is Pop Mart. That is it. And now they've changed how they do it. They've raised prices on them. I think flats went from like $149 to $169 a flat. That's just the MSRP
you see dudes
cost.
Carrying it
Yes.
on their belts.
I walked out. It was funny. I walk out.
Unreal.
I can't even make this up. We filmed that segment. We had to meet at the store at 4:30 in the morning because it was on the morning show, right?
Yeah.
So our neighbor next door, when they left, our neighbor is coming in, right? One of the employees from their store parked just in the parking lot next to my car. And I was going out to my car to leave in the morning, and hanging from his rearview mirror was a Labubu. And I was like, that showed you how quickly it had amassed, how fast it's gone. This is my advice. If you are somebody who, especially if you're looking for holiday toys, because we have to start talking about that. Right?
Yeah, we do. Because, I mean, you got to be ahead of it and spot these trends way ahead. And especially with the stuff going on in China.
Yes.
We got to be on it.
If you are not acquiring your Labubus for the holiday season now, expect to pay 20 to 40% more than what they're reselling on the secondary market right now.
If that goes for any toy, to be honest with you.
Yes.
That goes for any toy. Your Legos. Lock all your big toy purchases in the next 2-3 months. So that way you're not fighting, or at least you can find what you're looking for. You're not going to pay double or triple.
What's going to happen, though, is that you're going to have national brand trends, and I've seen this in the past. Last time I saw this real heavy like this, and the way I expect it to happen, was the release of the PlayStation 2, where you had radio stations and all kinds of promotional clusters. And now let's talk about our platform. We're a platform that will probably, in fact, we won't probably be doing it. Expect us to be doing some type of Labubu giveaways here.
Yeah.
Leading into the holiday season.
Yeah.
Right? All type of podcasters, event creators, whatever it is, car lots, it doesn't matter, are going to be purchasing these items, so they are able to actually be able to offer them as like some type of incentive. Don't be surprised here. I'm going to give a car lot $1 million idea of going out and giving a Labubu away with your car purchase over a weekend. Like that type thing is going to happen.
Hide a Labubu in one trunk on the lot, and then the person that buys that car gets it.
No, exactly.
It's true. It's like the Happy Meal thing that they bring the parents in. That's what's going to happen. But the other part of it too is you see the trends with Disney, even Sanrio. They're all styling a lot of their stuff now like the Labubu. So that, and I think the blind box craze needs to cross over to other toy lines.
Yes,
In my opinion.
and we're seeing that, right? And especially like I thought it was great that one of their first licensees that they went and did a partnership with was One Piece, and the reason being is because that although they only did it on the vinyl side, right? They still at least were able to get a license in place of something that has good Japanese popular culture interest, right? Because that, again, full circle comes back around, brings in a whole bunch of stuff. But what I loved about this, and this is what I saw from the weekend, is, and this was the biggest thing, you had moms coming in with their daughters to the comic store, right? Who weren't traditionally coming into the comic shop. And these moms that were coming in were bringing their daughters that were probably between 10 and 13, which are kind of those transitional years where little girls are getting out of playing with their toys and they're not quite into makeup yet. And so finding this balance of something that the family can be involved with was really cool. And to see that time and time again, moms and dads bringing this daughter in to purchase these. And don't get me wrong, the little boys were coming in too.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but in what I see is a little different though on Fremont. It's kind of like a fashion statement. I'm seeing the dudes come in for their girlfriends, and they're like, 20, 30, 40-year-old dudes say, hey, I got to get this. My girlfriend keeps asking me for this, and they're coming in and picking that up.
And it seems like that's one thing that every so often, it's very rare, but when it happens in full force, that toys are able to do, because they're not only a reflection of your personality, they could be a reflection of your background, your fashion choices. It's more of like walking around with a miniature representation of what you're all about. As funny as it may seem, that's like the pride in collecting them, because you're not necessarily trying to accumulate them all. You're trying to find one that resembles you.
Yeah. Now, it's a girl flex too.
Right.
Like, dude, they're just
for sure. Especially if you've got certain ones, right, or whatever it is. Now, I'm going to answer this question. I know Paul is probably dying to ask.
Chomping at the bit.
They are not making a hedgehog, okay? There's not a hedgehog version of this. So just go ahead.
All rats.
But, Paul, this is one of those trends, though, that like kind of seems like it comes out of nowhere and you see it. You've been around where you've seen a lot of these popular trends that have occurred, because we're not just talking about toys. We're not just talking about fashion. We're talking about art as well here. You've seen the trends that have come from the different sides over the years. When you see something like this, like what first comes on your radar? What comes to mind when you see a trend like this pop?
Well, recently I did see a whole, like a little YouTube video on the artist, the founder. And it's been around since 2015, but it shows kind of his journey. And it was like, he was worth, $10,000 back then, and now he's worth millions because of this deal with Pop Mart. And I do have a lot of questions, but this is, for me, this is kind of like Beanie Babies all over again. And at the risk of giving away my real age, when I first sold, when I had my first business, a gourmet ice cream and coffee shop, I mean,
that is hilarious. I love that guy.
I mean, not to this extreme, not like these guys.
I mean, shout out to Aaron, the producer here, really quick, because that was a great drop in there. Anyways,
Christmas
Paul, go
ornaments.
ahead.
I mean, I'm interested. I'd like to at least pick one up just so that everyone knows how cool I am. And now I see that there's a variety of sizes. Of course, my business question is brain and is always questioning, price range. And I get it that now on the secondary market they'll probably go up, and then even more so for the holidays. But the price range, I guess it goes by size, I'm guessing, and then different prices. And what is the vinyl side? You mentioned the vinyl side.
Yeah.
And then maybe touch a little bit on Pop Mart. Are these standalone stores as well as online?
Yes. So Pop Mart has individual locations. In fact, they have one here in Las Vegas, about to open a second one. So the second one's going to open in Town Square. The first one's in the Fashion Show Mall. They also have an online presence as well. In fact, to be able to buy Labubu right now, you have to be online at a time that they do a drop, to then be able to purchase it, to then do in-store pickup. So when you walk into Pop Marts, they're full of Labubus, and you can't buy them. The only way you can get them is to get them through that sourcing, be able to go on the website and find them and everything. Obviously,
Was it
the shoe guys are in it
40-year-old
because it's
version
fashion,
that had
right?
the eBay store where the dude tries to go in and buy a pair of pants and it's like, no, I sell this on eBay. And he's like, but I want to buy these right now. And she's like, no, you have to go to eBay. He's like, but they're in my hand right now.
Right. No, it's exactly like that.
Exactly
You're
that
seeing,
situation.
you're seeing some pushback from people on that, but that's going to be the way that it is. Pop Mart's actually got it down pretty well. They're limiting the drops as they do them, and there are a variety of different ones. So they have some, like they have one that's called like Fall Into the Wind, and they're dressed and they have like accessories and hats and stuff like that. There's King and Queen Checkmate, I believe is what it's called. There's a variety of different ones. And then there's other monsters. So, Aaron, the image that you have right there, if you want to pull that one up, let's just pull the image up. Don't play it yet, but just add the image in. This one in particular, this actually isn't Labubu. This is actually Zamomu. And Zamomu is another one of the monsters that you will see Pop Mart will be creating product from this. Now, when you asked about what the vinyl side of it is, these are actually branded as vinyl face. It's actually on the boxes. It says the monster's vinyl face, that the vinyl portion of the toy is actually the face. And then each one of them comes with a hanger tag and a clip that and the clip's done really nicely. Actually, they push interiorly and the clips don't, like, they flex back good. So they did nice production. They're made well and people are gonna like them. And then each one of the plushes that are the blind boxes, as well as the vinyl blind boxes, come with a card. And then the card that's in there is like cut in the shape of the Labubu and the color. So the only, I guess, fall off is people are opening them, not ripping the blind bags, and then they're looking to see what card is in there, and that will indicate what's in there. And then that way, if they get one they don't want, they can sell the blind bag sealed still, right? But it's still working. People are into it, and it's cool because when you buy a flat of 6, you're guaranteed one of every color in the wave. So that's another nice thing for collectors. If they come out and they're going to spend the money on that, they're going to be able to do that. Now, from an aesthetic standpoint, there's the secondary market, which is where 90% of people are going to be able to acquire this, and the 10% are going to be able to acquire it direct at retail, right? The direct retail on these, like for example, let's say the Coke one, for example, I think the flats of those are going for like $200 a flat for the 6. And on the resale market, they're selling upwards of $450 a flat. Right. Wow. So it's got a crazy markup in it on the secondary market. So you're paying around $70 a box on these, which would be $420 a flat, right? At $70 a piece. The big into energies are secondary market, 70 to 75 a piece. The siding macaroons are 60 to 65 a piece, and the Havaseats are selling between $50 and $55 a piece. And again, the big reason for this is the chase component, because they're chasing that secret. And the secret from Big Into Energy, as you were just mentioning, Johnny, that one's now trending over $450. That one, I believe, by Christmas will be a $1,000 toy. I just think that it will get that amount because of how scarce these are.
I like
how
the color
hard
scheme of it
get
too. It looks pretty cool. But
It is, with
I
the
think
rainbow.
the rainbow teeth. I could see a lot of the LGBTQ people
Absolutely.
chasing that. You know,
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
really quick, because I know Brendan had a question as well, but let me just ask you this. Maybe it could segue into what he has to say. Is how much of this is a fad? Is it just a trend based off of timing? What is the end game, the long run type of significance of
Well,
this?
I'll tell you
Long term.
this. When we see them, and Aaron, that's a really good image that actually shows the chase for the Coke.
Yeah.
So you can see what the Coke chase is there. For me, because it's a brand that has more to it, right? And has other things to come down the line. And you know what we're not even talking about? When are they going to get Labubu comics? When are they going to get Labubu cartoons?
Cartoon shows,
When
yeah.
are they going to get this stuff? Because, look, that's how Masters of the Universe was made.
mobile
Master
app
Universe
games,
was
yeah.
a concept that got turned into these components, right?
Yeah.
So, again, in our world of toys, that's generally a good thing, and the fact that there's licensing to it. Now, if I was to caution Pop Mart, the owner of Pop Mart was sitting here, or he's watching the program today and going, okay, what do the toy experts think? Well, this one thinks that if you're smart with your licensing and you don't overdo the use of your licenses, it will be big for your success, because that has been the biggest downfall for Funko, is overdoing the license that they have and producing too many different versions of things within that license. Look, the One Piece license is great. We don't need 50 Monkey D. Luffy's.
Yeah, but I could see them even on the fashion side collaborating with some big brands. I think they could still stay a little bit on the upper side of like things. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of, just not go Walmart, but kind of stay a little bit exclusive and be. And keep the rarity and the nostalgic of the brand.
Well, what's become big already is that if you go on Etsy right now, people are making clothes for these things.
Yeah, we have all the clothes at Toy Shack. We have little Vespas that they ride around in and all kinds of crazy stuff.
I'm just waiting for obviously, as I mentioned, NBA now officially in its off season, but it could be any athlete. I'm just waiting for an athlete to walk up to a post game press
it's
conference.
Going
with
to
them
happen,
with them
and I'm going to tell you where it's going to happen.
They better not. But
it's the
I'm sure
next
they will.
licensing that just got secured, which I'm saving for the end of this.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that's Fallen to Wild. That's up there is the Labubu that's on the screen. Major League Baseball just did a deal and announcement with Labubu that there will be Major League Baseball licensing, and they've already shown some of the Labubus wearing the Major League Baseball jerseys.
I remember when the TY did it with the baseball beanie baby bears. Those were awesome. I collected every single one, and they were around for a long time. Yeah.
And again, you can dress and accessorize your Labubu. As you can see here, this guy has got his denim on. He's got glasses. He's set, ready to roll. They are doing all kinds of really cool things. And on top of it, and I noticed this because, Paul, I think that this is something that was kind of alluding when you were talking about the price point and what are the things of collectability and all of this stuff. Stanley, the thermos company, already has Labubu licensing to Stanley thermoses, which are some of the biggest chases in the world of women collectibles right now.
I can see that.
Your drink container has become synonymous with you. Part of your fashion statement is, I've got the Starbucks one, or I got the pink one that got dropped at Target, or a red one, or whatever it was. And now there's Labubu ones out there that you're going to be able to purchase and get.
Easy collaboration.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that was great.
That
Paul,
makes sense. Yeah.
Paul, you wanted to chime in here.
Yeah. I'd love to see a collaboration, speaking of women collectors and things like that, but maybe with the yoga world and call it Labubu Lemon, maybe.
Well, you're going to see a ton of collaborations across the basin. And here's an example of a collection that can be made right now. This is stuff that you would be able to go out and build your collection. And what you'll notice here is on this individual graphic is that on the right-hand side, this collector also has some other designer vinyls and collectibles in there. You see Donkey Kong on top. You can see some of this. So the person who was already collecting the designer vinyl stuff is collecting this. The shoe consumer is now collecting this. The purse buyer, the person that buys watches, all of those people
crossover appeal
are into this. And it doesn't happen often in the world of toys. It usually becomes it's either for kids or collectors.
Right.
It's never, ever one of those things where, and it's also the fashion statement.
And that's my thing. It's like I knew very little about this just based off of what was actually out at the forefront. Because like anybody on social media, you follow the Instagram stories of people you just know in your day-to-day life, and you're going to get a clue. But I just got the full breakdown from Steve. But I know because Brendan had a question as well.
Yes.
And he's been
Brendan's had a question for a minute.
He's chomping at the bit. So at this point, I'm all like, I have to hear it, and I'm not even the one leading the way.
No.
So here's the thing. I'm a parent. Shut up, Paul.
I love it. He was patient, but now that he's actually got going, I'm not stopping.
My kids are talking about Labubu, and they're talking about Lafufu and all the knockoffs and stuff. So you guys have seen the real product, and you're dealing in the real product. I would like to know, for the parents who are coming up on holidays and things, who are trying to get these for the collectors who are going out and trying to buy a piece or whatever, what should they look for on the box? What should they look for on the toy? What should they look for to make sure that card hasn't been pulled, that they got the wrong product or whatever? And they're like, what are the scammers doing that people should be looking out for before dropping $70 on a little vinyl toy?
Well, I got to tell you, as far as functionality goes, the Lafufus or whatever, I mean, they're done pretty well. And if you go to Broadacre Swap Meet, which is closed right now because of ice, I don't know how long that's going to be, but you see them kind of everywhere. And the fake ones run anywhere between $12 to $25, whatever it is, and there's really not much difference. If you want to please your 5-10-year-old and just, hey, here you go, and I don't see there's much of a difference. But if you're 30, 40 years old and you want something that's going to be authentic,
Right.
and you want to save it and possibly go up in value, then I would say definitely seek out, a store that only deals in the authentic stuff. And there's ways to, you honestly could really tell just from the box alone and know exactly what you have.
Yeah, so the boxes in particular, the feel is going to have a little bit more of a matte finish, right? So that's one of the first things, whereas most of the knockoffs, it's a little more smooth, right? That's just a touch component of it. 2, there's a QR code that's on the product box, and that QR code actually takes you directly to that website. And what's cool is that Pop Mart has some safety protocol things in place. So when you're scanning those QR codes, it's actually not always landing to the exact same page. So that's keeping scammers from being able to add the QR code because they only have one destination for their QR code. And the QR code from Pop Mart is actually ever changing. This is a really smart safety precaution that I think is great. You are going to find open bottoms often on these. So just keep in mind that when you're buying like from a secondary seller, say off a marketplace or something like that, you're going to be looking to see if the bottom of the box is open because they'll leave the top tear strip unopened because they want people to still feel like they're going to be able to do that. Also, Aaron's got a really good example where you can see that there is on the correct one, it has this code that's involved on there. On the incorrect one, there's this code, and on the correct one, there's not the code. Again, you want to make sure that you're checking these things out. But there's already some really great resource sites because, look, this is an ever-changing thing. Whenever something becomes worth, faking or duplicating, it's going to ever change. They're going to catch up on some things. They're going to do some stuff. But that QR code that's on the box, that's a very, very good identifier. And then when you're buying the loose ones, you want to look at production quality, and this is just across the board almost on anything. You want to look for consistency to sewing patterns, specifically on how the tags are hung, and then also the clip, because to reproduce that clip, they almost have to find the exact place that is producing those clips for Pop Mart to be able to reproduce those clips because it's a piece of metal. It's very specific. And as you can see here, this will actually show you where the fake code is and the real code is. Like, they look a little different, especially under light, right? So that's also important. Most hollow foil bootlegs, whether it's Pokemon, whether it's Magic the Gathering, whether it's a QR code like this, whether it's a Funko Pop branded item that has some type of rainbow, foil to it, the foils will react a very specific way, like our currency does when you shine money, light through it or whatever.
For counterfeit.
This is one of those ways to be able to do it. And then as far as looking at the actual product, as you can see here, you can see the differences in the eyes. You can see the differences in kind of how the mouth are. And then also a lot of the fakes have more teeth than they're supposed to. Right? So again, because they were trying to bootleg, say, from a factory, because this is one of the reasons why we have tariff issues with China, is that they have no protection on IP protection.
Well, a lot of times, even some of these fakes are made,
Made in the
factories
same
right
factory.
across the street.
Right.
So the factory will say, hey, my client who produces the actual product, we have to change something. They make them change the teeth or whatever it is. And again, is it good to buy the fake ones? Of course not. Johnny and I are not sitting here telling you to buy the fake ones. We're saying, if you got a younger kid and you're not trying to drop $60 on a blind
They're
box
not
for the
gonna know.
child,
Yeah.
you can get them one that's fun. However, when they get into 4th, 5th, 6th grade, their friends know the difference. They're the experts on it, and they will make fun of your child. So just remember that your child will get called out for his knockoff Nikes. That's already been happening for years.
I had the knockoff Fila.
Your
They were
frugality.
Philo.
Yeah, right. Your frugality will lead to his outing. His public, his chastising.
I saw some sliders. They were supposed to be Puma, but it was Puta, so it was Puta.
Those were custom.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful out there.
No,
my
absolutely.
Adidas had 4 stripes on them instead of 3.
Whenever something is worth faking, those fakes are out there, and definitely. But the biggest thing I would tell you, if you ask that one question for the one piece of advice, like where do I go? Go to trusted sellers that are selling these items, people that are going to acquire them and be able. And look, Johnny and I have a reputation that it's important for us to make sure that we're carrying and authenticating as much as possible, and we're doing everything we can to be in front of this trend, just like any other toy line we've ever done, is to make sure that we know the information about it. 2, if you're buying it from someone on the secondary market, look, you're paying an elevated price. surprise, that person paid less. All right?
Yeah.
Don't be surprised. Stop calling them scalpers. Stop saying that stuff. It is somebody who's taking advantage of commerce in our country based on how it runs. You can ask that person, how did you acquire it? Well, I got it from Pop Mart directly. Cool. A lot of times, people will now show their proof of purchase with
but
these items.
Even fake sneakers, they'll have receipts.
Of
that
course,
that come
they
with
do.
them, you know what I mean?
And that will happen over time. But today, it's not as rampant as it would be in the shoe world because that's had time to evolve and get better and all that. As a parent, go to a place that is reselling these items. Look, we have them at One of Us Comics. Johnny's got stuff down at Toy Shack. You guys come in, pick them up from people that you know are picking up from, viable sources. And for us, it's as simple. My guys that have been buying sneaker drops for years, they're the guys that are out servicing this, buying it and reselling it in the secondary market. And that's where I'm getting a bunch of my servicing from, is these guys that I've done business with for years to be able to acquire some of the hot products and some of that stuff. So that's a real good safe spot to be. Look, Labubu, the craze, the hype, it's real. It's here. You're going to see more. You're going to see more licensed items. By the time Christmas comes around, you'll probably have lunch boxes. You'll probably have purses and bags. Don't be surprised if there's a lounge fly. Don't be surprised if you find stuff like that. That stuff is going to be out there. You can look for it, but have fun. It's a family collectible. Don't get wrapped up in the price when it comes to something that you're going to enjoy or do with your family that you guys will enjoy. Guys, we're going to go to a break, but when we come back, Johnny's bringing back Trash or Treasure. We're going to put Paul and Brendan to the test. We're going to let you play too as well, Brett. This is Go Live Vegas' Who the is Frank right here on the Go Live Vegas Network.
Feel the thrill, chase the legends, the dreams fulfill. In the game, where you surrender, it's all here again in these sports. Yeah, let me swim, fuel the fire, let the flame begin. And this monster ignites your flame, every pop, every dream, every game. Come on down to the Voodoo Bar, craft beer is never too far. Like do every night, feel the crew and get it right. Raise the glass, raise the you hat, the food, friends are near. Dance around, let them play. Voodoo Bar's a place to stay.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Go Live Vegas Studios, a unique multi-camera social media virtual content creators paradise. We offer high-end services using live streaming and film production for your personal or corporate, commercial or event and campaign needs. Pre-record or live stream to your audience on multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Fun and interactive with social media comments, phone lines, live remotes, audio Foley sounds, and Snapchat filters. Be creative, get recognized, and make money. We help you by providing an all in-house production team. Visit our website at GoLive.Vegas.
And we are back here on Who the Fuck is Frank here on Go Live Vegas. Of course, make sure you are following us on all the streaming platforms. And this segment brought to you by our friends at Voodoo Brewery down in the Arts District. Make sure you stop by and see them. Voodoo Brewery, new events and new things happening all the time. Entertainment nightly, and of course, some of the craft beer specialties in town, right down in the Arts District, right off of Commerce. Make sure you stop by and see them. It's right up the street from One of Us Comics downtown, so you guys can go check them out as well. But again, stop by and see Voodoo Brewery, and we thank you for their support of the program. Guys, Johnny's been at it, and this week I think is going to be a lot of fun. And we have the new segment that Johnny will be doing on a regular basis called Trash or Treasure. What we're going to be doing is challenging Paul and challenging Brendan in a contest where the winner takes nothing. Congratulations.
And the loser loses everything.
Besides the accolades of I won the last round until the next one. And they get to go head to head. And they get to go head to head against each other. And they're going to tell Johnny if they think that of the two items that Johnny has selected, if it is trash or if it's treasure. And so Johnny will give you some information about the item. He'll tell you what it is. You will then be able to go ahead and take a shot at it, So, Johnny, why don't you take it away with Trash or Treasure?
All right, so here we go. We got a 1996 first edition VW drag bus. This was super hot in the 90s. I mean, this was like the craze. 95, we had the first treasure hunt. That Camaro was super hot. Then we had the bus, the 1997 Scorcher scooter. This was the heaviest Hot Wheel at the time that was ever made. This VW drag bus, it was $1 when it came out in 96. And then we have the Heath Ledger figure. So this was a huge craze back when the movie hit. Everybody was chasing these figures, super hot. This is the evidence one with the card.
And in the case pack, this was the short piece. This was the piece that was in the case the least amount.
Yeah, and then there was the Blackface 2, the Batman that came out later in the next assortment of that too. But these two are very sought after, known to collector, big in the collector world. Which ones do you think is the more valuable piece here?
And we'll start with Brendan here. Brendan, we'll let you go ahead and start this off. So is it, and stop Googling. I see you with your head down. Stop. Guys,
I'm texting you that the music's still running.
We talked about not cheating, okay? We talked
I'm
about
not cheating. No. Here's the thing is I saw the pictures when they came in on the text thing, and I was saying, wow, this is a hard one. Johnny really came with them this week. And I honestly, between these two, because I know Heath Ledger died, and you said that this is the Chase out of the box, but then he's talking about the Hot Wheels. It was the heaviest one made. And I hate that things that were made in 1996 are now considered vintage because that's the year I graduated high school. So that sucks for me.
Same here.
This is a coin flip for me. I'm going to say just because Heath Ledger is dead and because you said this is the Chase, that I'm going to go with the Heath Ledger, but honestly, it could be either one of these.
All right, so Brendan has chosen the Joker from the Dark Knight series that came out. Paul Vato, you are up, Paul. And then, of course, we're going to let Brett play as well, so Brett gets to get a chance. But Paul, you're up. Which one do you take?
Well, I agree here with Brendan. I mean, I was born in 96, so for me to hear 96 also. Okay.
You were 45 in 96. Shut up.
How dare you? You might not be that far off.
He is going after him today.
Or the judge.
I mean, as a fellow actor, maybe not in Heath's echelon, but
maybe
being a fellow actor, I would love to say Heath Ledger, but I feel like it's... When was that movie made? I'm going to go with the older one. I think I'm going to go with the Hot Wheels because it's from 96, and I think there was something... What was written on there? First edition, I think.
Yes, so it was the first time they created the drag bus was this one in particular. So Paul has chosen the drag bus. Brett, your choice. Which one would you be taking?
I'm going to go with the drag bus too, mainly just because I feel like the clientele for it is bigger. Across the board, there may be more Batman fans generally than Hot Wheel fans. I don't know how many. I mean, there's going to be a lot of Batman fans who are going to want to get some type of 2008 Dark Knight material or collectible, but I could see where more people simply know. I mean, I shouldn't speak for them all because these people that follow this on the day by day like you guys do. I could see more people finding out about the nostalgia and vintage factor of the Hot Wheel as opposed to the Heath Ledger Dark Knight action figure, where if someone else wants something Heath Ledger related for the Joker and the Dark Knight, maybe they'll go to an avenue outside of the action figure, where with Hot Wheels you're going directly to the toy itself. So I think just because of that aspect, I think the Hot Wheel is gonna kind of get the nod here, just because more people are gonna know what it is and add it to the collection. People may pursue stuff related to Heath Ledger. I just don't necessarily know if it'll be this particular action figure.
So we have 2 votes for the Hot Wheel and 1 for the Joker. Go ahead and tell them, Johnny, which one's more valuable.
Well, let me just say this. Back then, when these hit, dude, back then that VW bus was in that $60 to $75 range for that year, 1996. And same thing with the Dark Knight. When this figure hit,
right,
as you know, Steve, this was like 40, 50, 60 bucks. It was super hot because people thought because of the controversy with Heath Ledger and everything else that they would never produce another one. But in today's market, the 1996 VW bus will be about 35 to 45 bucks. And unfortunately, the Heath Ledger figure is about 18 to 25. So the VW bus wins in this one.
Yeah, and one thing that wasn't mentioned by Johnny here is that the Volkswagen bus actually broke the mold. So there was a period of time where they had cases that they were producing. They stopped producing those cases of this car.
Yeah.
And there was a period of time before it was actually back out released. I caught a wave during that time where I walked into 64 cases of Hot Wheels on a pallet, and every single case had a Hot Wheels drag bus in it, had a Lamborghini Countach treasure hunt, and a Passat Error in each case. And I was able to get 64 of each one of those at that time. And I sold them to dealers at $150 a piece, and I was only 17. So it was a good come up. It's one of my come up stories of all time for sure.
Hot Wheels was super banging back then. I mean, mid 90s, late 90s. There's so much money to be made in Hot Wheels, and it was just all the dudes fighting each other at the Walmart,
every
Targets,
morning,
and everywhere.
lined up and racing to the Hot Wheel aisle.
Yeah, but some of the best times though I had with me and my guys going out there, no sleep, going to 10, 12 stores a day. It was a blast. I mean, we collected, but also, I mean, you'd never leave that stuff behind.
And we talked about on the show how a lot of people, that's their start in terms of toy collectibles. So that's the genesis for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, coming up next, we've got 2 more items. And we'll
okay, the practice round is over, so this is round 1 now.
Okay,
so Brandon's locking in.
So round 1 goes to Paul Vato, right? So Paul Vato takes round 1.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 1-0, Paul. And we're going to go to round 2. Johnny, tell us what we got for round 2.
What do we got? Okay, we got a holiday Barbie from 2011. We showed the back of it, but 2011 holiday Barbie. We have the pizza. This is basically from the 80s. This is McDonald's when they sold pizza back then. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but this is kind of an obscure thing, like the McSalad and the other stuff.
The hot dog.
Yeah, all the crazy stuff that McDonald's did. So for people that collect advertising, this would be something that they would collect. So, and then a lot of people, I mean, collect these holiday Barbies. It's kind of a big thing for the grandmas and the granddaughters for them to collect these every year. And you see them hit Walmarts and stores across the country. So we'll go to, we're going to go to Brendan first.
Yeah, since Brendan's down 1-0, Paul's in the leader in the clubhouse. We'll let Brendan go on this one. So, Brendan, which one of these 2 are you going to take and why?
Now, see, I think this is one of the trickier ones because I know that those holiday Barbies, it depends on the year, it depends on the dress, it depends on the skin color. Like, there's a bunch of variables there, but I know they go for like up to $1,000 for just a random year. But that test market pizza stuff from McDonald's, I know that was very short-lived. I know it was only in a couple cities. And the fact that somebody held on to those paper plates, those aren't plastic, those paper plates, those paper napkins in that box, I'm going to go out and say that it's the McDonald's pizza set there because I think that of these 2 items, that's going to be the rarest thing.
Okay, so we've got 1 vote for the pizza box, plates, and napkins from Brendan Allen and Mr. Paul Vato. Paul is back. He disappeared for a second, but I think he's back. Paul, of these 2 items, which one are you selecting and why?
Well, one of them makes me very hungry. So, man, this was tough because I don't know much about Barbie, but I didn't realize that McDonald's, and I'm sorry if somebody already said this because I got frozen there for a second. But I never realized that McDonald's offered pizza. I don't remember them ever doing this, and maybe it was in select markets. So I got to think that the pizza box and plates and this whole kit must be worth more than that Barbie, which is, I think, from 2011. But again, I don't know much about Barbies. Maybe this is one of those super exclusive Barbies that no one, that they sold out and that was it. But I've never even, like I said, I never even knew that there was McDonald's pizza. So, and for somebody to keep something that you throw out, I mean, I think that's going to be more valuable.
Well, it's totally understandable from you, Paul. You're a kid of the 90s, so we totally get it and understand why you wouldn't have known about it because it was from the 80s. So it wouldn't have been during your childhood.
That's
so
right.
Totally get it. And Aaron's got a picture of the front of the holiday Barbie boxes to show you guys the display window on it. Brett, you're up. Which one of these 2 are you selecting and why?
I'll round it out for the clean sweep. I, too, think it'll be the McDonald's pizza. I mean, I don't know as much about Barbie, but for all the factors Brendan just listed, it seems that even though the McDonald's pizza may have a time-sensitive, nostalgic element to it, I also see where that'll have a bigger appeal across the board, and it doesn't necessarily have a it's not seasonal. You know, it's a little more evergreen than the Barbie. Now, I get with people who collect holiday-oriented things don't care about the time of year, but I just see the McDonald's pizza thing because there's such a retro kind of feel to everything McDonald's. I mean, you drive by the one that we have here in town that looks like the one from the 1950s, and that even pops the eye. Anything old school regarding our fast food culture, we tend to love, even if that fast food item or product or whatever wasn't even very good to begin with, right? So I think because of that and that it's such an institution, Barbie may be a bigger collector's item, but not when you offer something like this to compare it to. So my guess would be the McDonald's pizza.
Okay, here we go, right? Everybody answered?
Let's go.
Okay, so Holiday Barbie, even though that's about 14 years old, and it probably retailed back then, I would say, for probably about $40, I would say, even in 2011. Today is only bringing about 20 to 25 bucks. Now, the pizza, the plates, the box, the McDonald's, people collect even like the coffee stirs, and I've seen even like, you know, the
Sugar
ashtrays
packets
and all the crazy stuff.
Yeah,
that,
salt
you know,
and pepper
McDonald's.
packets.
Imagine smoking in McDonald's back in the old days. But anyways, believe it or not, that box, plate, and napkins is about a $200 lot there. Yeah. I mean, people big into advertising. And a ton of people collect that old McDonald's and Coke stuff. So, yeah.
Can you imagine how quick they would have had to get the pizza out of there for the box to stay without grease stains and stuff on it?
For real.
Yeah. Although, you know, McDonald's pizza wasn't really done in a like traditional pizza oven.
So do you remember
right?
it?
I do recall it. I do remember it because
Yeah.
I remembered as a kid that we had it, and I also remember
How was it?
the smoking at McDonald's because my parents quit smoking when I was a young kid. But I do recall my dad smoking at the table in McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Because we would go to McDonald's once a week.
Yeah.
We had two things once a week. We'd go to Round Table Pizza every Friday. And then I'd always get to go to McDonald's like one time a week, right? And it was because for our childhood, we were chasing the toys. The toys and the Happy Meal were the most important thing.
Well, yeah. And not only that, I mean, I actually was lucky enough to have a McDonald's birthday party. And
that's it.
Back in my day. And my favorite thing was the big igloo of the orange drink, whatever they had.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the orange drink that they had there, what was it called? I don't remember.
Orangeade or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it was
I know what you're talking about.
was so good. Yeah. And then Ronald McDonald would actually come to the party.
Yes.
And dude, that was like the biggest thing.
Field trips for like daycare and elementary school, like kindergarten, that was a thing. You would even out here at public school, you would take field trips to McDonald's, and you know, you get something as simple as like the little finger boards, and people would go crazy. And that came later.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And a lot of this
big
memorabilia pieces from McDonald's do sell for big money, especially when you go back to like the original McDonald's cast of characters. Whenever they're involved on things, right? And obviously Grimace is a whole nother monster now because of the whole New York Mets thing, right? But because of those characters being involved too, and some of those characters no longer being an element of what they do. You know, they had I think they had the playgrounds back in the day that were full of the toys that you would climb on, whatever it was, the characters. So cool. Some of that stuff sells for obscene amounts of money when it comes to those things.
There was a yard this guy was selling. He had 6 of the Hamburglar cages. You remember those? Where the hamburger was split and they had the bars going around the outside.
And I think you had to walk. You had to climb up the ladder. It was right. I think I remember I had teapots when I was in high school.
There it is. That's the one on the bottom. What's the cop's name that went after the Hamburglar?
The burger jail.
That was what's the police officer's name? But anyways, it was his thing. But everyone had something on that playground set. I think there was I want to say maybe Hamburglar and Grimace had the rock. Those sit on rock toys that you would rock back and forth.
You could sit next to the Hamburglar as he was in his getaway car.
And then you'd sit on the bench, and the bench had Ronald McDonald sitting there.
It's Officer Big Mac.
Dude, that was so
Officer
cool.
Big Mac.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. So again, this character set, this is very synonymous with McDonald's brand marketing. And look, McDonald's was in the lead and still continues to. But as far as brand marketing and developing a brand that hit families and brought everything together, you definitely saw that with this. All right, next up, 2 more items. And this is a funny one, but also I think hard. I don't think this is very easy. I think this was a good, tougher one. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, so here we go. Everybody's heard of the Princess Diana Beanie Babies. We were just talking about it earlier with the Labubus. These are uncirculated. So these basically, this is how they came to Hallmark back in the day. So these have been uncirculated. They were not in some ladies collection or in a little case or anything.
They don't smell like Lysol and cigarettes.
Yeah, completely sealed. There's a lot of 12 Princess Diana Beanie Babies versus the Homies Hopper. And the Homies, these are made by Lindbergh Models. These are kits that you put together, and they have a remote control, and then the actual car will hop. And then it comes with 2 Homies figures. So let's go with Brendan again.
All right. So I know that Beanie Babies went up real big and they crashed. There's that very famous divorce case where they dumped all the Beanie Babies in the middle of court and they did the pick. And the one that went first, you can buy right now online, original, for like $7. But there is the tie-in with Princess Diana. And I know that there are still a lot of people who are so in love with Diana. And like, this is one of the rarer ones. If this is real and there's 12 of them, whatever, I've seen these go for $2,000 or $3,000 still. And I don't really know anything about those Homie Hoppers, so I feel like this is another really, really good one that Johnny came up with. But I'm going to go with the Beanie Babies because that's the only product here that I really know.
All right, so we got 1 vote for the Beanie Babies. Mr. Paul Vato, you are up. Which one of these 2 are you picking and why?
Well, I wanted to add one thing, and I don't think it's going to change Brendan's choice. As a matter of fact, it might just reinforce it. Now, again, at the risk of giving away my real age, when my first business was a gourmet ice cream and coffee shop in Geneva, Illinois, a very upscale, wealthy area, and I got into Beanie Babies deep for resale. Now, what edition is this Princess Diana? I mean, I'm going to choose that because I just know that the value of the first edition, the ones that had like PVC beans inside or whatever, and I may have even had a few and sold them because I can't remember if I paid like $100. I know I bought 10 of them, and I must have paid like $100 because I probably spent about $1,000 on them, and then resold them. So I know if it's first edition, the purple Princess Di Beanie Baby, it would beat the Hoppers. But then again, it could be a trick because I know Johnny's very tricky. The Hoppers could be, they only made one of these, and this is the one, and it's worth $100,000.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but
I just know. I think I'm gonna go with Brendan and say the Princess Di Beanie Baby.
Yo, I'm on to you because you won the first round. If you agree with me every round after this, you just win I see what you're doing, Vato. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Sitting comfortably.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's cool. We're going to give a half point to Brendan based on Brett Lawson's selection right now.
Oh, man. Well, that's which way? Well, either way, I'm
So if you're right here,
okay.
Just if you're right,
Gotcha.
he'll get an extra half point.
Little bonus. Okay. Well, I would like to have this polarizing conversation, but I'm going to round it out again simply because, much like Brendan mentioned, I don't know as much about the Homie Hoppers. And you have so much brand recognition with both Beanie Babies and just the whole mystique surrounding Princess Di. We know the appeal of historical figures in any aspect, let alone collectibles and toys and stuff like that. Princess Di is as popular now and beloved and even at times romanticized, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's just the case, as much as she's ever been before. And, understandably so. So I'm going to have to go with the Beanie Babies here as well, just because when you have a figure that prominent, even so many years removed, and a brand that's so recognizable like Beanie Babies, I maybe if I knew a little bit more about the alternative here, but I'm going to have to go with the Beanie Babies.
So before you answer this real quick, because I don't know this answer, right? You and I have not discussed this. How many are in that lot total? 12. Okay. So to me, in my opinion, that Homies has to be worth $70 or more for it to surpass this lot. That's my opinion on this. So I would actually have picked the Homie Hopper in this. I want to find out if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but that's what I would have picked. The uncirculated part of this, it does have value to it. That does help it, but I don't know if it helps it enough at this point because of how much damage that the Beanie Baby market has done to itself, and I'll explain why once Johnny tells us.
Well, Beanie Babies are completely worthless right now, but I think that just that one is special, and I just have a hunch about that, but I'm about to be dead wrong because that's what Johnny does to me. So,
so let me tell you, Homie Hoppers.
Quick question.
Yeah.
You can't change
for the
Paul.
lot? Is this for 12 or just for one?
It was 12. For the lot.
For 12.
Uncirculated 12.
Then yeah. Okay. No, I'll keep Princess Di. This is 12.
All right, let's go, Johnny. Which one is it?
Moment of truth.
So Homie Hoppers, I mean, all these lowrider stuff from back then, it just been super hot. I mean, they came out, they're very limited run. Homie Hoppers, the range on that is anywhere between $125 to even $200 on the Homies Hoppers. This uncirculated Beanie Baby group, lot of 12, basically brand new old stock, brought a whopping $60.
Wow. Logic at its best. Now, let me explain something to you guys. I think it's important to do, and I'm glad Johnny didn't do this because I'm so glad he didn't tell you this. There are 5 to 7 versions of the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. Paul, you got into it a little bit. And there's a version of tag issues. There's PVC and PE pellets. There's all this stuff. True. The one that actually has any type of value, not anybody on this has ever actually personally seen. Why this became such a big cultural thing, because at her funeral, the founder of Thai went and gifted one to each of 200 invited special guests to the funeral. These were dignitaries of countries. Yeah. Michael Jackson was one of them, and the Michael Jackson estate is the only one to ever know that it was sold on the secondary market. Supposedly, the thread that is used for the rose was made out of real silver on those ones. These are tucked away in vaults or in collections of countries and dignitaries, celebrities, they'll never ever hit the market. Yeah. Go look. There was 200 invited guests to the funeral. Oh yeah, that's where those ended up. And as far as you finding one, good luck. Not one has ever come to market outside of supposedly the one from the Michael Jackson estate was sold to somebody who was undisclosed.
That's the one that you would think makes the most sense because the royal family's not going to get rid of theirs. But Michael Jackson's family is like vultures. They tore apart everything, and they were selling his rights to the Beatles and all that stuff almost immediately.
And that's my thing because, like, you know how, just looking at the telecast, there were so many notable people, dignitaries from the political realm, but also just Hollywood caliber type of celebrities, pop culture icons in the States. So I kind of, with what Brendan said there, the way a lot of those, celebrity collectors may like to just push stuff in and out, I thought maybe that would have something to do with it, but
and I gotta hand it to you this week, Johnny, because like you had me overthinking every single item that you put up because it's like there's no way. Like my instinct is like Beanie Babies are worthless, but I'm like, but why is this Beanie Baby? Why is it uncirculated? Why so many details? You got me. That's a good pull, man. You did good.
That was very well done. And again, that is Trash or Treasure, Johnny's Trash or Treasure new segment. You'll see it every month. I think we're going to be doing it monthly. So again, you'll be able to see that. And then also coming up next week, I'll be hitting on some toy trends. So we'll be talking about toy trends and stuff to look forward to, especially as we start talking, for us, talking about going into the holiday season, because really the holiday season starts for us in September. It doesn't start in December. So we will be doing that. Coming back after the break, we're going to be talking about the new comics coming up this week. And it looks like Deadpool has a first appearance. But stick around. This is Who the Is Frank on GoLiveVegas.
The worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Stop the gas! Feel the thrill! Chase the legends the dreams fulfill! In the game, where you saw it gods! It's all here again and unleash wind, fuel the fire, let the flame begin. And this monsters ignite your flame. Every clock, every dream, every game. Come on down to the drill bar. Right beer's never too far. Like do every night, feel the crew and get it right. Raise the glass, raise the you hat, the food, friends who leave, dance around, let them play. A place to stay.
GoLiveVegas Studios, Studios, a unique multi-camera social media virtual content creators paradise. We offer high-end services using live streaming and film production for your personal or corporate, commercial or event and campaign needs. Pre-record or live stream to your audience on multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Fun and interactive with social media comments, phone lines, live remotes, audio Foley sounds, and Snapchat filters. Be creative, get recognized, and make money. We help you by providing an all in-house production team. Visit our website at GoLive.Vegas.
Well, in true winter fashion, Paul Vato has decided to exit stage left, and we have an empty couch as usual with Paul. I'm sure he's got a DoorDash delivery to get. Welcome back to Who the is Frank here on Go Live Vegas. And this segment is presented by the Nerd Bar located in Neonopolis, Fremont Street here in Las Vegas, second floor. And man, the Nerd Bar has had a ton of great stuff going on. They have a ton of really, really cool events. And as we referenced in the first segment, home of MicroMania. So guys, you get a chance, stop by, see the nerd. Johnny Borchata and the team over there will take care of you. They got a lot of great things going on. They've got, fun activations, a fun, playful bowling alley. I don't want to call it a full bowling alley. It's something for you to get together with your friends and go. But if you want a night out in Las Vegas, something fun to go do and have some fun with pop culture, because he's got great memorabilia too, guys. And we were talking about it, a little bit in regards to some remembrance stuff that you guys wanted to do that was coming up.
Yeah, we got some events coming up in honor of our boy Sabu. We're always got, you never know who's going to come into the nerd. It's always, the vibe's always changing. Johnny's always got events coming. He just had the Micro Maidens come through and a bunch of other stuff happening. So it's, and then too, like I said, Billy and his crew with the Micromania, that's always huge. And then they got the bull rides and the games and all the other stuff.
There's definitely something for everyone when you get a chance to go to the Nerd Bar. And in fact, I think that what will happen is most likely, I'm guessing maybe PokeCon might be a really good time for this. Maybe we should plan to do our After Dark episode from the Nerd that weekend.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do the After Dark episode that weekend from the Nerd. I think that would be a lot of fun. So we'll talk about that. We'll get together and see about doing that. And the great thing is that we can't hear Brendan right now when he's trying to talk, so he couldn't chime in. So that was awesome. I don't know where that came from, but I'll go ahead and say what Brendan was going to say, which is, wait, when am I going to Vegas? I think that's what he was asking. But yeah, so does Brendan have audio now, Aaron? I want to make sure that he's set. Yeah, there's no audio for him. Did you mute yourself? Oh my gosh, no Brendan Allen. There we go.
Check.
Yeah, here he is. Yeah. He's back.
Check.
All right.
Check.
Well,
No, I was saying, I don't remember my invite to PokeCon. What weekend is that?
your invite to PokeCon was there because I thought you were a stage host for it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I'm going to PokeCon in Las Vegas. What weekend is that?
September 20th, 21st. Brendan Allen will be live in Las Vegas. Come on down and see him.
Well, I got to get that on my calendar. Shoot. All right.
So, guys, we're going to get into the new comics this week. We do have a bunch to run through, so we are going to run through these fairly quick this week. The first one, Deadpool number 15, and this has a first appearance, Brendan?
Sure. It's the first appearance of a new villain called Kurani, and it's Legacy number 350. So it says Deadpool versus Death Grip, the showdown you've been waiting for, and only one stands victorious. Get ready for a 350th celebration like only the pool can bring you, with anniversary stories from Deadpool legends Jerry Duggan and Matteo Lolli introducing an all-new villain. Now, I want you to just look at this cover real quick. I had to check who made this cover, and I'm now 100% certain this is Torrin Clark taking the piss at Rob Liefeld, because you've got Wolverine in the corner there. He's got no lower body. Then you've got a full-bodied female character on the right there. You've got floating heads, no feet to be found anywhere. This is 100% doing a tribute poke at Rob Liefeld with this cover.
Well, we know that Rob Liefeld recently exited Marvel because he was, for a lack of a better phrase, he was taking his ball and going home.
Yep.
Because he was upset about credits on the MCU Deadpool versus Wolverine, which I don't understand because in the background, one of the scenes, this is Liefeld draw his feet. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing and a great Easter egg in that movie. But, Deadpool, always big, always hot. Now, I know there's another cover, too, and tell us about this one.
This one's the Rodney Fuentabella Marvel Studios variant, and I love this one. There's just so much going on, but it's real clear. It's not real muddled, and there's a lot of space on there for those glitter pen, silver, and gold markers if you take this one to a convention.
So the next book up is a Green Arrow book, and this one is this is an interesting one because it includes a character that really has not been used by DC very much, right?
Yeah, so it's been used one time. So Green Arrow number 25 is a second appearance of Crimson Archer. Crimson Archer appeared one time in Adventure Comics number 259, and that was back in 1959. So it's been a good, 60-something years since we've seen this character. We only saw it once, so it could be a cool thing. It says, Oliver Queen has mentored many a hero, but he also unknowingly mentored a villain. Herb Vaney, the crime lord impersonating a socialite who took Ollie's training and became the Crimson Archer.
Now, I don't know if they're trying to indicate that there's a death also in this at the same time, and it might be his only second and last appearance. I'm not sure, but the cover definitely has that a Crimson Archer has taken a arrow to the heart. Now, whether that's a Crimson Archer or, someone that was used to shield by the Green Arrow, I'm not sure, but we will find out when that book releases this week. Number 3 for the week, or the next one up for the week, is going to be a Miles Morales Spider-Man number 34.
Right, so this is the first full appearance of Powerlift. So Miles Morales meets an all-new Hulk. The Theomachy rages as Miles Morales fights a losing battle against the ancient and overwhelming power of Ares, god of war, and his champions. But wait, Miles' newest recruit is gamma-powered. And if you look at this, it's a cool cover because it's like him looking at his cell phone and seeing this new Hulk on there. But there's a second cover for this, the Jeff Shaw variant, that has a better framing of the She-Hulk. So I like this one. It's inventive, the way they've done it with the reflection and stuff like that. But if you pull up that next one, Aaron. There we go. We get a real good look at this new character right there.
Don't worry about that, by the way, just to point out. That's just Aaron being perfectly on his time, which is what he is. This is a great cover. I do like this. I think it's cool. And the Miles Morales Spider-Man space, they're starting to do cool introductions of characters, which if you go back and you look at how Spider-Man trended in the Silver Age, they're using the footprint that they used for introduction of characters, both good guys and bad guys.
And that's why Spider-Man was such a great hub, because obviously a lot of it was his placement within New York, interacting with other New York-based superheroes.
Yeah.
He's in Queens. He could interact with Doctor Strange in Greenwich Village. He could interact with the X-Men in Westchester. There was that proximity element. But also because he interacts and mingles so well with so many different characters, you could strip a villain, as Steve just said, from another title and put it in a Spider-Man title, and it'll work. He could do crossovers with Daredevil. He could do crossover with the X-Men, Fantastic Four, like he has for years. Peter Parker was known for that. I love, like what you just said, Steve. Yeah. Miles Morales is doing this. They're doing the same exact thing with that version of the character.
That's why it's been such an exciting run, and that's why the books are so valuable for all the Spider-Man run.
Well, and then a little Easter egg that came out this week too, touching base on that exact front, is that it's been announced that the next Spider-Man version actually is John Bernthal reprising the Punisher in it. So we are going to get the Punisher and Spider-Man in a movie. So that is a big, big deal. And again, what they're doing with the Miles Morales character and bringing these in. Now we know in the cinematic universe we're going to have Bernthal playing the Punisher, which, by the way, he's an incredible Punisher.
Outstanding. I still believe there's probably going to go full circle. We'll probably get Charlie Cox in some type of appearance there. I mean, if you're going to put Frank Castle in it, you got to put Matt Murdock, especially since we already kind of got Matt Murdock in the last Spider-Man movie. And on top of that, I lost my train of thought, but like you said, on top of that, it's Miles Morales, the third Spider-Verse. It may take forever. It probably will. We know it's going to, but it's dying down enough to where, there won't be much of it'll simmer, I guess you could say. And then once people remind themselves that trilogy hasn't been concluded and it's still yet to be concluded, and the second one left in a cliffhanger, it's just going to jump back up, and it's not exactly stagnant anyway, because people love the Miles Morales character, and he's just going to return to the big screen.
Well, in these first appearances, you never know what to expect, right? Always have, a good story tie-in, and if the story tie-in is strong, right, and if the storytelling in it is strong, it'll do really well. Mm-hmm. Speaking of storytelling, from the mindset of Barry Allen, known as The Flash, the next book, The New History of the DC Universe. Tell us about that one, Brendan.
So it's a 4-issue miniseries. Mark Waid is doing the writing on this. It says, learn the definitive history of the DC Universe. In celebration of 90 years of DC, super fandom writer Mark Waid turns back time to the very beginning of DC. In our debut issue, Barry takes us from the very birth of the DC Universe to the rise of the Justice Society. The golden age of heroes begins here.
So I love when they go back and they give you some information of the past, especially for new readers. I think that's what's important. Like, whenever you're re-educating a new reader, now you might be a collector and be like, well, I know all their origin stories and all that. Yeah, but the 13-year-old kid 100%. Who just started getting into Absolute Batman or whatever title is hot in his, pull box right now, this is great for him to get an ability to go back and get some of that origin story.
And that's what they did decades ago, because this is what DC is known for. Brennan even kind of alluded to it when talking about the Green Arrow comic with the Crimson Archer. This is what DC does. In the Silver Age, these Golden Age heroes were obsolete. They were able to bring them back, interact with the Justice League in different multiversal and timeline-oriented stories. Decades later, you do it again. You put them in the animated Bruce Timm Justice League. Like in the upcoming Superman and the James Gunn Superman, we're going to get the Guy Gardner version of the Green Lantern in addition to Hal Jordan, not in that movie, but the Hal Jordan and John Stewart Lanterns will be outside, still in the same universe with their own show. But in that Superman movie, we're getting the Golden Age Lantern technically. Yeah. And, you have it with what? You have Wildcat, you have the original Flash with the helmet, right? And, even the old Batman and Superman type, like Detective Comics, Action Comics, even though that's the same hero, they almost separate the continuity. They really like to say this Golden Age is its own thing, but we could bring it back.
And when you see stuff like this, and let's talk about the next cover that's up here, this cover just gives you an example of what that is.
Oh, I love it.
So this is
awesome.
the cover D, and this is Scott Koblish, I don't know how you say it, but it's a connecting variant. So it's a 4-issue mini. So all 4 covers are going to look like this, and they're all going to connect. If you like, this is going to be a really nice framing piece for collectors.
Cool. I feel like this would be a great homage cover to go get signed by different artists that have their art being represented on it. Yeah. This is one of the times where you would go get autographs on a book that the guy wasn't involved with it, but because their origin story was, and they were involved with that, this would be really cool. And Aaron off camera said, "What is this? Where's Waldo?"
Is this one of the 4? Is this the first of the 4?
So this is the first issue. There are 4 issues, and so the cover Ds are all going to connect.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly. And then you'll have that connecting cover. And what that means for Paul Vato, who's probably wondering, Paul, you buy all 4 books, and then all 4 of those covers laid out will make one image.
And it actually looks like even number 4 might come along the left side of number 1 right there too.
I did understand that, but my concern is, where do you get it autographed, and then do you literally jut them up when you frame them, or do you leave a little white space and it shows like artwork, or that's kind of up to the person?
That would be at the consumer's discretion, I'm sure. You can leave
but
a
most
little
people,
space
most people like to put them out and display them to where all 4 books are connected to see the entire art. And then a lot of times what happens is the artists that are involved with this, like whoever's doing this cover, and I didn't look into it, so I have to apologize. I didn't look into who the cover artist is on this. But
Scott Koblish.
Okay, so Scott may very well be making an appearance, say, at a show. And when he makes that appearance at a show, he may have prints of all 4 connecting covers at once. That would be a piece of art that you would be able to buy and frame yourself. So that's another way you'll be able to obtain the art from this. But the biggest part of this is just the fact that you can have 4 covers to have this many. Because the last time I saw a really cool connecting cover that I loved, right, that was a multi-book thing, was our friend Jamie Sullivan, who was working on IDW doing G.I. Joe, did a G.I. Joe connecting cover that had all of Cobra and all of G.I. Joe throughout the years on these different covers, that when you put all of them together, it was the one image, and it was done really, really cool. Next up is VR Troopers #1.
Now, I put this one up because Johnny's with the nostalgic television shows, and this actually made me feel really old when I'm reading the solicit here. So it's the first in a 6-issue limited series that reimagines the VR Troopers 30 years after their last series. It says, "We are VR, spinning out of the Power Rangers Prime, the first VR Troopers series in 30 years, the perfect jumping on point for Trooper fans, old or new." So this is another one that the kids are going to get involved. It's a cool looking, I mean, look at this cover, look at the suits they're wearing and stuff. The kids are going to get into it, and then the people that are my age are going to go for the nostalgic factor. So I think this one's going to be big.
What's funny is I think you'll see most people will say, "Oh, this is really cool, this brand new VR thing," right? And then Johnny and I are looking at each other going, "Well, we tried with this one."
I know. I used to hate that when you show with all the 90s kids, when you show them Voltron, they're like, "Oh, that's a Power Ranger." Like, no, it's not.
Think again.
And we do get that stuff often. Now, this next one, I want to set this up, okay? The reason why I think that this is important, actually, I know some information I cannot share. But what I can tell you is that whenever you see one of these publishers kind of come with a nostalgic brand or something, there's something behind it, right? That's all I can tell you. I can't tell you much more on this. Yes, I can't spoil it for you. After San Diego Comic-Con, I'll be more than glad to roll this back and bring it back. We'll do a callback to this episode. But Mega Man #1, tell us about it, and then I'll kind of give you guys the information as to what why I think this isn't going to be done the way it is.
Okay, so this is Mega Man Timelines #1. It's the first in a series of 5 connected one-shots. It says the Blue Bomber is back. Mega Man returns in 5 connected one-shot comics spanning 5 different eras of robotic heroes. In this first issue, the original Mega Man squares off against 2 explosive and fiery robot masters bent on citywide destruction. Fight, Mega Man, for everlasting peace.
I love the art of this. They captured the era in this. Like
Definitely.
If you didn't know that was a new book, it looked like that came out like 20, 30 years ago.
No doubt.
This one's Udon, right?
Yes, and this
That's right, okay.
line, Mega Man is massive in the gaming culture, and Mega Man really hasn't had a big resurgence like some of the other big lines. We even saw 5-6 years ago, Metroid had kind of like a resurgence, right? And we had Samus, and everybody was hooked on the fact that Mega Man was Samus was actually a female, right? And all this, but with the success of the Sonic franchise. And being able to look at what Sonic has done over the years, it 100% makes sense to me that I anticipate that from seeing this, I can only imagine that there's got to be another video game down the roll here, finally, that'll be, from Mega Man. And 2, why is that important? Well, because generally the person that's going to have Mega Man first is going to be Nintendo. And they just released the Switch 2 with a very limited catalog. So I would not be surprised if Nintendo actually has this on deck, is using this as a precursor to kind of revisit and revitalize the community, and then drop a video game on you. Now, I know some information. I can't tell you guys all the stuff because I'm under NDA on some of it, but all I can tell you is that I don't think that Mega Man is going away anytime soon.
No, I think the appeal is as big as ever before, despite, as you said, Steve, he hasn't actually really done anything out in the open, in the forefront, in quite some time. And I think that is part of the appeal. Mega Man is like the nostalgic element that whether or not he was as good or cool as you remember doesn't matter, because you remember the significance. So even if they were to try to revive or reboot him in some way, shape, or form and were to fall flat on its face, the public interest, I truly believe, would be there.
100%. I mean, it was Mega Man 2, TNC Surf, and of course Contra. Those are my 3 games. It was all day long.
And it was such a big part of the Nintendo culture. Mega Man was the premium game for a long time. Look, Mario games were great. Everyone had those. But if you were the kid, it was kind of because Mega Man was also more expensive when it came out. So it was one of those things. Now, Brendan,
it's like the next step in the evolution.
Brendan, on the publishing on this, I don't see DC or Marvel on this. Who's producing this one?
So this is Udon Entertainment. And this is kind of one of the things that they do is they take these video games and vintage video games, specifically like Street Fighter, and what's the one that had Hagar, the wrestler guy that spins around with the overalls on. There's a few covers here for him. But they do a bunch of these swimsuit editions for Street Fighter and stuff like that. So it would be interesting if there is a video game release that's going to be timed to this resurgence of and this interest in Mega Man. But this is kind of where Udon Entertainment lives, is they make these limited series that just show, like I said, the Street Fighter girls in their swimsuits, or Street Fighter versus Deathstalkers kind of stuff. They have these limited series. So this is kind of the space that they live in. So it'd be really cool if they got out ahead of a game that's actually being released, because that hasn't been their model in the past. So it'd be cool if they figured that out finally.
Well, I think that kind of is becoming the plan a little bit, and where you're going to duplicate that off of is with Rivals, right?
Marvel versus Capcom almost, right?
And Marvel versus Capcom. Yeah. But with Marvel Rivals right now, what they did was they set up characters' introductions to then bring them into the game. Right, and Marvel Rivals is as big of any type of game that's been out in the last 10 years as you can imagine. And Rivals keeps doing a lot of stuff. And I want to bring something up that I thought that they did that was really cool and unique. And that is, we all know that Juneteenth just occurred, right? And Juneteenth, obviously, a celebration of African-American culture here in the United States. It has been growing as a holiday. It is building and continued to be. There was a lot of festivals. There was a lot of stuff going on in Vegas during the time, and other markets and community, right? So during that time, though, and Marvel has generally always been following DC's lead when it comes to things that might be either political culture or any type of thing aesthetically that tiptoes the line sometimes. We talked about pride issues recently with DC, and they're all kind of doing some crossovers in that. In Rivals, though, they did something really cool. In the game, Blade has been asleep in the game. And on Juneteenth, they woke Blade up, and he disappeared from the bed.
Ah.
So the vampire's
up.
The black superhero
on Juneteenth,
was awoken during that.
That's cool.
So when you're seeing this now culturally be able to follow our superheroes and interests, because when you think about it, I know a lot of Hispanic kids are thrilled because Miles Morales is Hispanic. Right?
Art imitating life imitating art. Yeah.
So when you're seeing that in there, right, and they know that like there's culture, because there's not a lot of Hispanic superheroes, right? There's not a lot of black superheroes. There's not a lot of ethnic, differential, superheroes. So when you have a chance to like actually celebrate them and do stuff like that, I thought that was a really cool action from them to pay attention to that. It's not just, hey, let's be cool in the culture and put something out that makes sense, but let's actually do something that coincides with the culture.
And because of that, it doesn't seem contrived, because anyone who pushes back on exactly what you're referring to seems it's either overly forced or out of the blue or unnecessary. Nothing about what you just mentioned regarding that is, because it works and it kind of transitions seamless. You're not really pigeonholing it there in that case.
Right, exactly. So again, I think we have a great release week. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff, and then there's also really great books on the up and coming. For us at One of Us Comics, I think it's important to mention we did have a little bit of disruption in the new books over the last couple of weeks. That is kind of correcting itself. You guys will see that all happen and hedge itself out and everything. Pullbox members at the Henderson location, that if they had disruption to their pullbox, you've received an email, or you can stop in store, talk to our staff, and they'll let you know kind of what's going on, and then also share with you what we are doing for you at the time while we have some of that disruptions there. And I know, Johnny, you probably are doing some similar things for the guys downtown that have pull boxes to be able to sustain and get everything as we get things back on course to where it's supposed to be. Look, with everything from tariff situations to you name it, we've had some challenges and some things that have occurred, but they're definitely correcting themselves and getting on the right pace. So please plan on doing that. And then don't miss, coming up the 19th and 20th at the Ahern here in Las Vegas, PokeCon LV will be happening. Get your tickets now. Go to PokeConLV.com. Get your tickets, single day tickets and VIP tickets available, as well as vendor spaces. If you'd like to book a space, go ahead, click the vendor link, and you'll be able to get all of your information there. We will have another announcement this week of a special guest, someone that Johnny and I know real well. So he'll be announced and coming in. And you notice I said he'll be announced.
Exciting.
So we'll have that.
Is it me?
It may be. It might need to do that now with the surprise announcement to you, which, by the way, just so you know, you and I did talk about this. But anyways, PokeCon LV, September 20th, 21st at the Ahern here in Las Vegas. Get your tickets. Exciting stuff coming up the chain. Guys, Frank sent me a text today. He's a little early on this, but for good reason. Okay? Frank, paying attention to our political climate, which I think is important for us all to be aware of what's going on and what's happening. This is not the show to discuss it. However, he says, this 4th of July, as we celebrate the birth of a nation founded on the pursuit of freedom, remember the independence. It's just isn't just a historical milestone. It's a personal mindset. You have the power right now to declare your own independence from doubt, from fear, and anything that's held you back. You don't need permission to connect, to create, or build. The fireworks in the sky are just a reminder of the spark that matters, that your vision, your goals, and your empire are worth the fight. So keep reaching out, keep showing up, build the relationships that matter, make the moves that others are too afraid to make. Do what's necessary, not just what's comfortable. You are free to choose progress. You are free to choose greatness. You are free to build your legacy. This is your Independence Day. Claim it, use it, rise with it.
Wait, who the fuck is Frank?